Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second Rebel podcast. Today, I am inviting my friend Tine. She is living in Amsterdam, and she is a purpose experimentator. And hello, Tine, welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself and explain to us what purpose experimentator does.
Yeah, let's come with the difficult questions, right? So, hi, Will. Thank you for having me. Well, yeah. So you caught that on my LinkedIn, right? I mean, everybody is writing these very fancy slogans, so I thought, well, I can come up with a fancy slogan. But well, it does have some context, of course. So there is a story behind it, and it goes actually way back to my childhood, I would say, because I always felt like I was pulled in a direction, but I didn't really know what it was. I mean, today I would say it was my gut, it was my intuition. I don't know. You can make different stories up about it. But it became more tangible when I was working for an internet company in Germany, and it was that's actually a funny story for itself. But I'm not going to go deeper into it. There was one day we had like a business dinner, and I was meeting one of my colleagues on the hallway, and she was like, "Hey, are you going tonight?" I was like, yeah, of course I'm going. And she was like, "Yes, it's going to be great. I'm going to be playing this role again." And I was like looking at her like, huh? What role are you going to be playing? She's like, "Well, do you think I'm going to be myself there?" Of course not. I'm a different person at home than here. So I was like thinking like, what are you talking about? And that moment was a triggering moment for me, actually, that brought purpose closer to me. So somehow it got me in touch with the topic of purpose, and it planted a desire inside me that I wanted to work for an organization where purpose is ruling, where purpose is kind of like a center point and brings the best out of people and the matter of wholeness we're talking about, right? So and then this was like this red line. So I started working for an organization where actually purpose became a boss. Well, we lived a very exaggerated form at some point. So I went deeper and deeper into the topic of purpose, distinguishing purpose and meaning, and going from the one purpose-driven environment to the other one. And today I would say, well, it's quite an experiment. And I've been writing a book, and it's called The Purpose Experiment. So it's not quite ready yet, but about to be. So that's why I got to this name. So actually a bit of a longer story. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. That's great. Congratulations about your book.
Thank you.
I want to read it as soon as you get it, as you publish it. When you speak the difference about meaning and purpose, why did you refer to that? This is something that we use confused, or?
Yeah, I would say they're part of the same equation indeed. But as you know, this is also obviously I think how we met through one of our passions of self-organization, self-determined teams, and self-management, right? Is that we talk a lot about purpose. And I feel like a lot we don't actually know what purpose actually means in different kind of contexts and mix it up with meaning indeed. So my experience was that I was working for an organization where we implemented self-management, in particular holacracy, and we established like a purpose hierarchy, I would say. So we had the organization had a purpose, every role had a purpose. And then we got to the point of, okay, what is my purpose actually, and how can I align it to the organizational purpose? In the end, we made purpose our boss. We even like the salary system, hiring, firing, like everything was purpose centered. So every decision we made was according to our purpose. And then I mean, like it had actually very big consequences on organizational and individual level, because we started intervening in individual identity and in trying to align, because as you know, a purpose statement is very vague, right? So if you say, hey, this is going to be our decision tool, you have to somehow make sure that everybody understands it. So you start aligning language, and then you start aligning perspectives, and in the end, you start aligning belief systems. So what you do is you drive individuality and with that diversity out of the window. And that happened also to me. So I burned out because emotionally I was so disconnected from myself because I put purpose also, at the center of everything. So the common narrative in our organization became, if it's good for the purpose, then we're going to do it, right? So personal needs became secondary and so forth. So the past 2 years I spent on analyzing and reflecting that case because I wanted to understand, because we had everything. We were one of we were an internationally recognized new work example. We were great with self-management. We were lived like really the freaking paradise, Will. I can tell you, I earned a shitload of money. I worked 3 days a week. I still had my startup at the side. I felt a really high sense of purpose and meaning. And then I burned out. I was like, okay, this is very weird, right? Yeah, why? So my theory today is that, and you sent me this book.
Nerina Hertz,
Yes,
I think is the Lonely Century, maybe.
exactly. And that gave me also a lot of ahas, because it's I was reflecting on my case, and I was like, was I maybe disconnected from something, maybe from myself and, from people around me, and I wanted to kind of fill this gap with something. So I turned to an organization and I said, hey, give me purpose, right?
Yeah.
But looking actually for meaning. And if we try to put meaning on an organizational level and make it collective, we start aligning language, perspective, belief systems. So sooner or later, you will have a sect-like culture, right? And if we talk about purpose, or when I talk about purpose, I talk about organizational purpose that in the end is about making money. It's about solving a market problem firsthand, and then being profitable to keep doing that over and over again. And I know it sounds not inspiring at all. And I was riding this purpose wave. I can tell you, I started startups. They have amazing purposes, very inspirational. But we should really watch out about distinguishing meaning and purpose and how to bring it in an organization and how to emotionally engage people. We should not do it via purpose.
Trying to complement what you said, I understand that the purpose of a business is to make money, and I think that's very clear. But the thing is, the purpose of a business is to change the material conditions of the people inside the organization and around them. And yes, the profit is the gas to keep doing it more and more, as you said. But is any way that our different purposes of every person that works in the same organization get aligned into a major purpose, or is that something more related with the meaning? Because everybody needs in the system that we live, everybody needs money to live. So we work because we want to create an impact, but also because we need to pay bills. That alignment, is it possible?
No. And I would also not try it, because it can get very, very toxic. When we talk about individual purpose, and my take on it is very close to the research of radical purpose, the radical purpose community. Jose, Matt, based in San Jose, California. And it's about meeting personal needs. And they're different, right? Because also our needs, they're changing in different periods of time. We have different needs in different contexts. We have different roles and different hats that we are wearing every day, right? You know it as a dad of 2 girls, but also, as the founder of Skype and so forth. Being a husband as well. Okay, but I'm gonna stop here. A cook and a cleaner. No, but you get the point, right? So we need different things. So starting with basic needs of sleep, nutrition, exercise, but also sense making, creating. We need different kind of things in different periods of our time, and I think our individual purpose is to meet these needs, because then we are in balance, we are in a certain space, and out of this space we can create with intention and clarity, right? So if we talk about organizations and individuals, I think organizations should go away of trying to align anything here, because it's the border to intervening in individual identity is is very close there, right? And it's really, really hard to keep that border. So you can have this inspirational purpose somewhere, have it as like some North Star somewhere, but don't put it into your structure and make decision making dependent on it. And if we talk about meaning, we can find meaning in many different things every day. And this is a very individual thing. And yes, we can stimulate it as an organization. We can give people tools at hand to co-create their environment. So it's easier for them to find meaning and feel meaning. But we should definitely go away from trying to align things or trying to assess people on purpose contribution or, things like that.
And now you are speaking about the radicals. I know you have an opinion about the co-management and the co-creation. And
An opinion.
tell us about it a little, please.
Yeah, opinion is a good thing. So, yes, I have an opinion. So as you know, like the past 7 years, I've been working in self-managed or self-organized, self-determined teams, or I would also call them actually like, in co-managed environments. And co-management is obviously not co-ownership, right? So there's two different things. And I also think there's like a difference between self-management and self-determination and being self-organized. So depending in which kind of direction we want to go, because I think this is how true collaboration actually works. So at the foundation, bringing equality into the structure and the mindset. And then you have, on the other hand, I think we cannot talk about co-management if we don't talk about co-ownership as well. So maybe we need to talk about co-ownership as well, because it has a lot to do, obviously, with emotional ownership. And then you have the physical side. And a lot of people talk about we need both, otherwise it doesn't work. If you start going this path, you need to go it fully. And I disagree today, because so we have practiced this. So we implemented co-management. Can I say like we implemented co-management when we implemented self-management? I find this word like, okay, still a little bit challenging, but this was how we started the journey, let's say. So we started changing our structure to implement, and it was really an implementation. It was implementing holacracy. This is a different kind of topic because it was like a transformation happening in a parallel universe, a little bit disconnected from the day-to-day, which I would do differently today. But the effect and the impact it had on people was astonishing, because people also brought this mindset home. So it was really creating co-ownership in that sense of emotional co-ownership. People really were so emotionally engaged and felt that sense of purpose and meaning that they really wanted to be there, contribute, and give everything they could to solve a problem or to make this organization running. And then it actually changed as soon as we introduced co-ownership on the financial part. So actually, like co-ownership on the legal basis, saying, okay, from now on, everybody needs to be a co-owner, which means you are not just like this emotional, co-managed partner, but you are going to be like owning a piece of the organization and be part of the benefits and obviously also the risks, right? So I would say probably like 40% of the people did not want that. And I think we didn't approach it in a very good way. So what happened is then we like, okay, we cannot go further if we're not going to do this. So everybody has to be a co-owner today because it's the right thing to do. This is just like the logical next step, blah, 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 blah. So not really going into the individual needs as well of these, of people in that certain period of time. So that at some point kind of like blew up. And people, it just became very unhappy because, and left the organization because they didn't want to go this step. And I understand. I mean, you have to put up your own company. You have to take care of like all kind of, insurance, admin stuff. Obviously, it's different per country again.
At the end, a a lot of responsibilities that maybe you don't want it
Exactly. There's a different consequence to it, right?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're speaking, because sometimes for entrepreneurs seems logical that everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
that is not true.
I'm also an entrepreneur at heart, but I'm now in a different period of my time, as you know. I mean, my baby girl is now 1 year old, and I'm at this point. I'm saying, hey, you know what? I really want to take a sabbatical from my startup life, because I just don't feel like I need to be in this role now at this point. I still want to do a good job. I still want to, like, feel this meaning and that I'm useful and contributing, but just please give me a paycheck at the end of the month. You know, I can still feel very free in an existing structure that I don't have to model now, that I don't have to, like, do everything that it's running. But I can also feel free in a certain structure. And I mean, this is going to be my next experiment after now 6 years of self-employment, 7 years of self-management. I'm going to go back to maybe employment, potentially, right? You don't know what's going to be happening. But it's just like, I think we just need to stay open and keep exploring and taking life how it comes, and just try, and adapt to the needs that are changing in the periods of our time.
Speaking about our time and changes, how do you think the AI and all this new can revolution will affect our relationship with the purpose in business, and or in personal, even personally, with the purpose, with the meaning, with the way we relate with work? Can it be a big change at the end?
So we cannot determine the future. We don't know what's happening. But I would approach it the way that I'm generally approaching life. So out of a certain place saying, hey, I think this can be very useful. So I'm definitely not scared of it. I'm actually very excited about it. I mean, we've had so many conversations about it now. Also, how can we use it to help people, find purpose and meaning in the relationship to work, because it's a very individual thing. So I think this is how I would also approach it, to see it as a supporting tool. See it as a supporting tool that is helping you and not kind of like working against you, but to really, contribute with your talents and what you think is useful. And on the other hand, I also think, to be honest, I think we need it. I don't know about the numbers in Mexico right now. Mexico, you heard how I'm trying to say it. Thank you. Gracias. But we're in the States. I don't know. And that's like your side of the world right now. For me, sitting in Amsterdam and having, obviously, being a German native, generations are like, there's not that many people like coming anymore as there used to be, right? So the numbers are decreasing. And if the workforce is decreasing, we do need probably some other support as well. So I do think in the end, everything is kind of like syncing and adding up. And not to sound like too vague or too crazy now, but I do believe that things are happening out of a reason at the right timing. So I think it just brings a lot of opportunity, to be honest, to focus on more important things. Yeah.
Honestly, I like a lot your response, because you bring a new approach. Maybe too obvious for you, but yes, with the population decreasing and all that aging situation that we have in Europe and North America, and even in Mexico, yes, AI comes as a not a solution, but a patch to our productivity problem. It has there is a good line to think, and thank you for that. It's a good angle to try to understand this phenomenon.
Yeah, to see maybe some connections. Yeah. Well, thank you for pointing it out.
It's a brand new approach. I know that you are speaking at TEDx soon. Can you tell us something about it? What can expect in your presentation?
Actually, not speaking at TEDx. We're having a collaboration with Uni, which is like still, like my startup with my two partners in Brazil. And we're collaborating with TEDx as a sponsor to map emotions throughout the event, so of the audience.
You want to explain what Uni is and what?
Yes, of course.
Doing, please, for the audience.
So Uni is a methodology to map emotions in organizations, but also communities and cities, actually, to cultivate emotional intelligence. And it was founded out of a need of rising depression and burnout rates, and kind of like accelerated, I guess. But because we designed now an experience as well. So we first started out with an app, which and then we also developed this kind of experience to really go into communities and cities. So there's going to be a huge event in Sao Paulo in October as well, actually, where we're going to be mapping the emotions of the city. And then they're going to be projected on big buildings, the people who reported these emotions with the emotion they're feeling. So it's like creating awareness about a topic that is very urgent. And the collaboration with TEDx is also rooted in one of TEDx's most seen and listened to talks of Brené Brown, vulnerability, because I think we're not too vulnerable anymore, at least not on this side of the world. Maybe you have a different kind of perspective on it in Mexico and that part, which I almost doubt, to be honest, but 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 in the end it's really about like connecting people with their emotions and helping people to feel like what kind of emotions do I actually feel in that very moment. So these talks, they are stimulating emotions, and we make practically use of the power of emotion, and will in a workshop also at the event transform these emotions into action to unleash collective intelligence in that sense and have people make impact together. So it's not just a talk, but we will help to transform that into action.
That is amazing. I hope to release this video before, but I can't I can't guarantee. So maybe we will be speaking about this in past. So,
okay. Well, either way, it's amazing. Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us about, I don't know, all your expertise and something that you think that people may know when they are starting up something new?
So I have to say I have a very different topic on my mind. Maybe I can share that first, and maybe we can go back then too. Because I think that topic is also interesting for a lot of people with with this whole wave of new work and remote work. But I started testing and asking my friends around the globe a little bit about one thing, which is feeling lonely and isolated. Because I also have this urge often, like I want to move to a country that has a more collective culture, that is just like has more community. And now I figured it's everywhere. Like everywhere we're facing a similar challenge as a whole generation and society, which is that we're more or less disconnected from each other, and that this isolation is growing, right? So and I think for everything it's true is that also for the startup life, we need to nurture relationships. And it sounds so self-explaining and so easy, but I tell you one thing, like a friend from Berlin, she surprised Malu and me. Malu is my daughter, right? On her first birthday, she was just standing in front of the door. She took a flight to come to Amsterdam. And I was so touched because I was like, are we doing these acts of kindness and love for each other anymore too much? Because it seems like we are all so busy in our own lives, especially in our generation right now, because it's all about, we're aspiring our own greatness, and we want to, like personally develop, and we want to find this one purpose that we completely forget about, that purpose is in everything what we are doing, in every action. And that if we start to let go, we find purpose in many different things. And this is having a positive impact on our relationships, which in return is going to make us happy. And I think this is a very, very important part to also have attention to when we're starting up an organization, to how are we treating each other, and how can we bring equality into organizations and really at the root and core practice equality in co-management, self-management, and just do a good thing, because that will also bring impact in the end and happiness.
Well, thank you. That's so true. Yeah, because yes, I think in the way of starting something new and all the ambitions when you start a new business, or even if you already have a business, that take us apart from our friends or from our family, because it's time consuming. At the end, we have a limited time in our everyday and in our life. So I think it's something important that what you mentioned is something touching.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to make our communities count again, and should not forget everything, the root to everything. Every great idea, every innovation, every impact we're having, the root of it is collaboration. And collaboration is only working very well when we can, be authentic, and when we can, live it with intention. And then we're going back to the topic of individual purpose again, meeting own needs and so forth. So it's a whole chain of events. And I think if we're aware of it, then we can just build beautiful organizations having great ideas, and with that amazing impact, unleashing collective intelligence.
100%. Well, Tini, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.